Friday, September the 20th, not Friday the 13th this time. So we don't have a spooky workout for you to do. What we instead have is the kind of workout that you would typically experience on a Thursday. So maybe if you're a Monday, Wednesday, Friday customer, you haven't experienced this kind of thing before. So very thresholdy. And here's what we mean by that. It's a sprint. It needs to be a sprint in order for you to put a score on the board today, because the board score that we're taking today is wall balls. Just tallied up how many wall balls did you do today. But it's possible that you do no wall balls. Here's why. It's a 3-minute window. Think of this as 3 separate 3-minute sprints. And as soon as the clock says go, 3, 2, 1, go, what do? You do 50 double unders or 100 single unders or some mixture, some compromise between the two. And then you do 10 chest to bar pull-ups. I'll come back to that in a second. And after you're done those two things, however much time remains in that 3-minute window is yours to do as many wall balls as you possibly can in that time. Can you hang on for the entirety of that remaining time? Are you going to have to break it up? How much time will you even have left to do wall balls? These are all questions that the WOD is going to answer, that you're going to answer for us when you do this workout. So we're going to do that thing right now where I haven't done the workout yet, and I am sprinting over to the gym right now in the hopes that I'll have some time to devote to this workout. And if I do, then I will come back. At the end of this video, I will stitch on my feelings about how it went for me. But here's the general gist. I said some sort of compromise with the jump rope, because if you're pretty good at double unders and 50 is not going to take you, say, more than a minute, then great, right? Then you're just going to do this workout RX, as it were. If not, or maybe you have double unders but 50 still asking a lot, then you're going to do some number that you think you can be consistent with across 3 rounds, but that also takes you less than a minute. Capiche? Fair enough. And then the similar conversation that we have to have about single unders is like, generally speaking, we would just multiply by 2 and say instead of 50 double unders, it's 100 singles. But that can't be the case for everyone. Most people can do 100 singles pretty fast. In fact, definitely in less than a minute. And if that's you, good, you're doing 100 singles today. If you are someone who is generally new to jump rope, then it's not 100 singles, because that might take you a while, or maybe you have to take a rest. Maybe that's the rule of thumb here. If you think 100 singles would be something that would require you to take a rest in the middle, or where you think you're going to trip a whole bunch, then you're not doing 100 singles. You're just going to stick with the 50, or whatever is fair in less than a minute. As far as chest to bar pull-ups are concerned, 10. That means in 3 separate workouts today, 3 separate 3-minute windows, you'll have to do 30 total chest to bar. That's a lot. That can be a lot depending on where you are with that skill. So you are, as a requirement, supposed to look at chest to bar pull-ups as no more advanced than. So that means several people today will, instead of doing chest to bar, will be doing chin over bar pull-ups, kipping chin over bar pull-ups. Still others will, instead of kipping pull-ups, be doing some sort of banded pull-up. What can you do, once again, let's call it, in less than a minute, maybe a little bit more than a minute, but hopefully not that much more. And if you've done those 2 things correctly, those 2 first movements, you've modified them to what we want, then you will have some time left over for the wall balls. Now, as always, I like to say, do whatever the most difficult thing that comes to mind is in the first round. And if that means you don't end up getting to those wall balls, then so be it. That was the workout you needed in that first round. But today we want you to eventually get to some wall balls. So take what you learned in round 1, apply it in rounds 2 and 3, even if that means adjusting something, volume or otherwise, to get to those wall balls. All right, in between each round, you have a 1-minute rest. And the question is, and this is probably what I'm going to have to stitch on to the end and answer to, is a minute enough to recover to be able to perform in rounds 2 and 3 the same as you performed in round 1? I don't know. Tough to say. These max effort movement threshold WODs are always more difficult when there's skills involved, and today there are 2 skills involved. All right? We're going to expose it to the masses on a Friday. Hopefully you guys come in. All right, maybe I'll be back in a minute. Maybe I won't. Enjoy. All right, I made it. I did it. Real quick. So here's the only scenario I didn't really cover in my video. It pertained to me, but it might pertain to some of you too. I was getting to the wall balls with like 2 minutes to do them. You're not gonna like go unbroken if you have 2 minutes. I mean, maybe you can, but I knew that I couldn't. And I realized that in my first time, in the first round, I was like, let me just go till I can't anymore and then see what happens. But I needed to refine that in rounds 2 and 3 to have more of a plan. So I went from going for a max effort amount of wall balls in the first round to having to try to get like 15, take a rest, 15 more, take a rest. So if you're someone who thinks you're going to be on the wall balls for longer than most people, you have to strategize that too. So I know I'm only talking to a few people, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it. It ended up being, trust me, 3 rounds was enough. Okay, enjoy.